Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to Hobby Hi-Fi. Am I recording? I think I am. Hope so. It's hard to tell when you have your phone in a silly clamp. Yes, I am. Have your phone in one of these silly clamps. I have yet to figure out a way to get a proper tripod holder to work the way I want it to. Would you believe I'm having these troubles in 2024? So today I wanted to talk about the Boston Acoustics A70s, and another one of my favorite manufacturers. I seem to have had a lot of these in my time. Um, Boston had this is I believe out of the 80s, and this is the version 1, A70 version 1. And Boston had a pretty large line of the A series that came out in the 80s, and maybe even started in the late 70s. The A40s, which was a very small, I believe it was maybe a 5-inch woofer, and the A60s, the A70s, the A100s, the A150s, the A200s, and they may have even had an A400, but pretty wide array of choices at that time. But this one here I happen to get a hold of, and it's in very good shape. You know, one thing that when I'm looking for speakers is what kind of condition are the corners in, and a lot of these are wrapped in vinyl, so it's hard to, if there are any dings, and there are a few dings here in the side, you know, it's kind of tough to repair those types of things once those get damaged. So I haven't really found an answer to that yet. So I was tickled to find some of these that are in very good condition. And even the grill covers are in very good condition. So there's very little issue with these. One thing I'd like to point out is that these grill covers are not exactly firm when they seat. And so once I get these on there, I just want to show you, thanks to my new earbuds here, I think you're going to be able to pick up on all sorts of neat little sounds that I'm trying to improve my recording capabilities. And I guess I'll put in a plug at this time for these Sony earbuds that I've come across, the WF-1000 XM4s, I believe they are. Fantastic. I think there's 2 microphones in each earbud, and they pick up on so many sounds. Have a couple of really neat features with the app. One of which is ambient sound, which allows the microphones to amplify and pick up on external sounds. So it's sort of the opposite of sound or noise canceling. So you'll notice when I'm doing these recordings, if I use these earbuds, that you've got some bass now. You hopefully can hear the thuds, and that kind of thing kind of turns me on. So anyway, one of the downsides to this line, in my opinion, is the grill covers, and they're quite thin, which is nice, so they're not going to obstruct the sound waves in any fashion, in my opinion. But really just not quite what I would expect as far as the rattleability factor is just a bit on the high side. So I'm not quite sure what the answer to that is. The only thing that pops into my head is to possibly take some Mortite and to dope these little holes and see if we can't get some sort of a vibration dampening situation going with these little pins that hook on the grill covers. So this is a simple 2-way with a 1-inch soft dome tweeter and a 8-inch woofer, and I believe it's just a simple 6 dB crossover. I'm not positive about that. I don't think it's a very elaborate crossover, but Boston has just knocked it out of the park with this whole series, in my opinion. It's one of the, I guess I'd have to say it's one of the more common or popular speakers in the United States at that time, bar none. And so you'll find a lot of these around. And what inevitably happens to this line is that these speaker foams will rot out. So these have been replaced. This is a particular type of speaker foam called filletted, and I've done a previous video or two on I think maybe some Paradigm woofers where I had replaced those foams, and also had to find a filletted set of foams, which are a little bit harder to find. There's a place called Simply Speakers, I believe it's out of Illinois, and there's a few folks on eBay that sell these, but the goal is to try to reconstruct these as the designer intended. And so, if at all possible, always keep your original drivers. And so this is the version 1, and this is a paper cone woofer. I believe the version 2 had gone to a more plastic, or I'm not sure if it's copolymer or what, composite possibly, but more on the plastic side. But I don't think that there is any. I think stiffness is the goal, what they were going to, and possibly response or weight. But this one's paper, and this one seems to work fine. So I believe this is a Boston manufactured drivers, both of these. And that's something that Boston was always very good at. They rarely used anybody else's drivers. I know when Paradigm first started, they used a lot of VIFA drivers, and drivers from made in Denmark, and things that they did not produce in their own factories. But Boston always seemed to have a good firm control over their own manufacturing processes, and I believe for at least a long time always made these right in the good old United States, most likely in Massachusetts. So one of my favorites for a lot of different reasons, but one of which is the tweeters. These soft dome tweeters have always been known to be some of the best going, for especially for the money. Now these are not an expensive pair of speakers. I think in the day they may have gone for $300 a pair or so, maybe even a little less. But you're getting some good components here, and these tweeters are ferrofluid cooled. So given the age, we're talking about 40 years now, you may have an issue with your ferrofluid drying up over time. And I can't say that I've had any with these, but at some point that gets a bit tricky, because over time that ferrofluid, which is sort of a metal liquid, if you will, iron of some sort, it has a tendency to sort of gum up and just dry out a bit and get gummy over time, which will affect how that diaphragm moves. And so there are ways to reinvigorate your ferrofluid inside, but I have not attempted that to date. And I think my speaker buddy Roger Comparetti in Waterville, Maine, may have attempted that at some point. He was a chemist, so I'm sure he's got some ferrofluid kicking around, or he could probably make some. But I'm not quite sure how that would go down, so I haven't dared go there as far as that goes. And but haven't had any issue with these tweeters, and they always seem to be relatively robust. They're not very easily blown, and they go quite low, which means that they probably cross this over at about 2,000 hertz, maybe 2,500, to mate with this 8-inch woofer that goes probably relatively high. So it's a nice blend, and it's a simple design, and this is an acoustic suspension design. So this is a sealed box. There's no port in the back. The case is relatively the cabinet is relatively rugged. I think this has got to weigh almost 30 pounds. They're very, very well made. And the woofer is, like I was saying, it's a well-made woofer that's it's got some weight to it. It's got a large magnet on the back, and it's they're only capable of maybe handling 60 or 80 watts continuous. But I think you'll find that at 80 watts, these are quite efficient. The efficiency rating on these are 90 dB. And I guess it's they give it as a watts per meter. And so I think pretty much they're at 3 feet, they're getting a certain measurement on their instrument. And 90 is what they're giving us, and that's a bit on the high side. Some of the most efficient speakers that I know of are Klipsch, and I've got a pair of Klipsch Heresies over here, and I've got a pair of Klipsch Fortes out in the trailer, and they are incredibly efficient, and so you can run them very loudly on as little as 10 watts, which is a big lure for the tube lovers that generally had lower power, lower wattage amplifiers. And also back in the day, before the big power amplifier craze, or the receiver wars between Sansui and Marantz and Pioneer back in I suppose it was the 70s, they started really making some beasts of receivers, and up until that point, they had just a lot of people were just making receivers up to say 25 watts a channel. So that would be plenty enough for these speakers. I think that they would play quite well with a low, say under a 50 watt per channel amp. I don't see any problem with that. And the good part about these is, being a sealed enclosure, these have a nice punchy bass to them, and it's quite accurate. So I have a particular like for the acoustic suspension designs. They may not go quite as low. With your port, you can tune the port a bit and get a little bit more, I think, on the bass. But the trade-off for this is that you're getting a little bit more punch, and I think that's a worthwhile trade-off. And so, being an 8-inch, you're getting a pretty small woofer as far as woofers go. So you're getting a pretty agile, responsive driver here, and these play just wonderfully on a wide range of music, from classical all the way to rock and roll, and I haven't really found anything that these don't sound good playing. So I just wanted to show you the filletted style foams again, and make sure that if you have a pair of these that you find at a garage sale, a lot of times you can get a good deal on these. Pick up a pair for 50 bucks or so, maybe even less. Keep these drivers, keep the main drivers. They really did a good job with these, and they're very rugged. And as long as they haven't been played for a long time loudly without the surround. So once these foams rot out after 20 years or so, depending on the environment, I think a high humidity is probably not good for them. High temperatures, possibly even low temperatures, may degrade those foams more quickly. But what happens? It just sort of rots away. I mean, it'll crumble, and that will leave the cone to sort of flop around. So if you find a pair, make sure you remove the grill covers and you take a look and you make sure that your foams are in good shape. Chances are, if they have not been replaced at this point, they are going to need to be soon. So find yourself some filletted foams. Try to do things as the designer and the engineers had intended, because these guys knew what they were doing. And I don't want to assume that I can make any changes to this and make it any better than it was. They sold, I don't know, maybe millions of these, and almost everybody loved them, and I can see why. Wonderful pair of speakers, and I'm glad to have found a pair in nice condition. And I just wanted to show you the only other thing that I just never really enjoyed is these spring clip terminals. And although these are a pretty rugged and well-made set, they're firm, and you can probably fit right up to maybe a 12 gauge bare speaker wire in here. But the only thing is, if you take a close look inside, you've just sort of got this blade of like tin that comes down on your speaker wire, and that's really your only connection there. So it's, in my opinion, not the best way to do things, but you know, we're talking mass production here, and you know, they probably saved $5 a piece on these, which is a lot of money over as many of these as they made. So what I have done to make things a little more simplified is to go to the pin. I found some nice pin, speaker pin connections, and so that makes it really easy to just plug these in one-handed, and you're good to go. So thank you for listening. We're up to almost 100 subscribers now with Hobby Hi-Fi, so sorry for the lack of content lately. I've been working about an hour away, and so it's been difficult for me to make that transition to daily with the grind, and doing this hobby that I love has taken a bit of a hit. But today I wanted to share some content with you and say hello, and in the middle of July in 2024, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching, and again, sorry for my phone situation. At some point, you know, maybe I'll evolve and get one of those little remotes so that I can stop the video without having to go around to the front and hit the button, and especially with this kind of a chintzy phone holder that I got that's gonna inevitably bob and wobble up and down. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching.